3, 3. What? 1, 2, 6, 7. Yellow. We know what we're working on it. Number one. Where's one?
Unleash your serve's power. Join our academy and dominate the court. Spots filling up fast. Enroll now. Do you dream of hitting aces and dominating the court? Silicon Valley Tennis Academy is your one-stop shop for becoming a tennis champion. We offer expert coaching, world-class facilities, and a supportive community to help you reach your full potential. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned player, we have programs designed to fit your skill level and goals. Learn from experienced coaches who are passionate about the game and dedicated to your success. Join our growing team of talented players and see how Silicon Valley Tennis Academy can take your game to the next level. Visit our website at www.siliconvalleytennis.com to learn more and enroll today. Don't miss your chance to be a part of something special.
Welcome to the Silicon Valley Tennis Show. I will be right back. Hey, good morning, and you're welcome to the Silicon Valley Show. Today, we have something I think an amazing parents. We have Carolina, we have Mr. Evans, and we have Sebastian, a young player, involved into this podcast. Today, we're going to talk about questions that many parents always have in the academy and wanted to train. Carolina, how are you? Mr. Evans, how you doing? Sebastian, how is everything going in your side? I hope so you're doing well.
Good. We're doing good.
Great. You know, like a coach, I always hear many questions. And I think no one else in the Bay Area has something like this, what we're doing, where we have questions the parents around the valley can ask me, and they can have a good response how to develop players. So you can ask me questions, whatever questions you have in mind, and I will try to do my best to answer these questions. And I think that will help parents that they have questions. Maybe we have the same answer. And we can start, Mrs. Carolina. What it will be great for you to ask me. You always have questions on the court. Now you can ask me questions.
Yeah. Yes, I have a few questions. I think one of the questions that I have all the time and that a lot of parents have is for a junior player, how much training should they get? Like, how much do they need really to improve? How much would be too much, right? Because we don't want them to get injured. We don't want them to get fed up with the game. And not just in terms of how much training overall, but what would be like a good, just at a high level, a good breakdown of fitness versus basket feeding fundamentals versus rallying versus, all the different types of training that juniors do. What would be a good mix?
Okay.
Right?
The great mix. I think the most important first is the age, 9 years old kid. And from the 9 to 11, we have to make sure they train in between 2 to 3 hours a day if it's possible. But in the summer, that will be wonderful. The kid train between 2 to 4 hours a day and inside the court, making sure the player is working consistency, is working the volleys, is working the serve, and the kid having a good time. If the kid is not having a good time, it doesn't matter if it's 1 hour, 4 hours, 5 hours. We need to integrate 4 hours to practice. Conditioning. Conditioning, it has to be 45 to hour and 25 minutes. Why is that? It's completely different just be training. Conditioning it starts from flexibility, movement, and start doing a little rubber bands to make sure the player doesn't get injured during the period of time of 10 years. Okay, so we're talking about kids 9 years old to 11 years old, 2 to 3 hours daily. Summer, my suggestion, 4 hours to 5 hours playing and having a good time. That includes conditioning training and plus tournaments. I want to see the kid play tournaments. The tournaments over the weekend, that will be great. That will integrate the kid in a very good platform to go longer to be a college player. That will be a very good college player. If the player between the age 13 to 16, you have to put it minimum 3 to 6 hours daily to make sure you play in that times to be a pro level player. Okay?
Okay.
Sebastian, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question from another parent who wasn't able to make it today, from Jennifer Jin. And her question was, what do you recommend for, or what were your game day pre-match mental preparations, or any recommendations that you may have for players as well?
The mental preparation. Start not looking for the winning all the time, if not looking for the performance. When the person is able to perform in practice and perform in pressure and perform in the tournament, it's already the preparation. So everything is prepared outside in the training, making sure the kid goes to the match and doesn't overwhelm. And in the same time, the preparation, I think, is coming a lot from the house. Why from the house? When the parents are supporting, not just looking for the winning, if not looking to say, improve, get better, don't give up. And if you don't give up, the results are a good mentally preparation for the player to be inside the court. Mr. Jones, what do you think? What do we have for you?
Thank you, Coach. I really appreciate the time. So you've coached my daughter for about a year now. So what attributes do you see tennis players developing, and what qualities and attributes do you see tennis players needing to bring to the court sort of from their own self-motivation? Could you dive into that? So I like your intro. It also
Yes.
showed some of the attributes.
Okay. Players. I think the majority of times, and go back again, the age of the kid. Some kids, they come to the academy and they don't know why they want to play tennis. So for some kids, we have to introduce them to love the game. We have to motivate them to love what is the best sport in the world, in my opinion, which is my game, the tennis game. In your daughter's situation, she is self-motivated. She wants to be good. She wants to improve. So for that, our job in the academy is a little bit easier now. Why? We just need to put it a good technique, making sure we are giving them the right tools to improve. And I know little by little bit, she's going to continue moving forward. Your daughter's situation, she started a little bit, we can say maybe not late, a little bit slow late. What did that mean? I met your daughter in the age of 12. Okay? She has great mental toughness. She loves to compete. That's something you cannot teach a player. You cannot teach a player to compete. So now, if we able to make her understand the game more, to have a basic technique. When I say basic technique, is a better grips, a better follow throughs, and then little by little bit integrate new tools. I hope so. In 2 years, in the age of 15, 16, she will be able to play in a very decent college level player. Many times, I understand it takes from parents like you have to go to Sacramento, you have to go to Stockton, Fresno, but you have to go away from the local area. So you have to start challenge yourself into different situations. The game is big. The game is very big. So playing against different players, that will help a lot. Okay? So this is my recommendation for your daughter, and for many players like your daughter, they are very self-motivated. Mrs. Carolina, what is next for you? Tell me.
I just wanted to follow up on your discussion about mental training. I see two things. I'm sure a lot of parents will relate to that, but a lot of times their kids have a ton of energy and they're aggressive during training, and they get to tournament, and all of a sudden they don't want to lose. So they play a lot more cautiously, not as aggressive. And for me, when I see that, a lot of times it actually reduces their chance of winning if they're being too cautious. And even if you explain that to them, they understand the logic, that they're not helping themselves. But I guess sometimes it seems to be stronger. They can't help it, I guess. They just become more cautious. So how would you address that? It's something that's completely irrational. How do we address that?
Okay. It's great you asked me that question. Yesterday I was talking to Bella Marioni, top player. And I said, what happened? And she said, Francisco, I get a little nervous. And I said, I want to remind you something. And I go back to different players. When you practice and you play very loose, that's how you have to do it in the tournament. In the tournament, you have to feel the same. But if the children feel tight, it's because they are afraid to lose. Sometimes we shouldn't be afraid to lose. We shouldn't. It's just something natural. I have to go for it. I have to go for it. So I like to see maybe encourage the player in the tournament, in the maybe the second set to the third set, when you are able to coach your own children, you can say, go for your shots. I don't care if you win or lose. Go after your shot, develop the aggressiveness, and feel happy about your performance, because it will feel tight every single time. The game becomes worse. I like to see the player in this case. We have to let them know it doesn't matter about winning or losing. It's about improving more in the younger age. In the pro level players, they go for the shots. They go for the shot. They don't want to try to keep it in play only. Go for the shot. Don't lose control of the shot. Be what you've been training and put it together. That goes back into the performance of the mental toughness. Punishment doesn't help.
Yeah.
That's why in the academy I do not like punishment if you do this wrong. If you do no, this is not a good way of preparing a kid to believe in themselves. Punishment to the kids. I have heard from kids many times, "Oh, I'm afraid if I lose the match." Hey, don't be afraid to lose the match. You lose, you lose. That's it. But don't play without nervous situation. How you control it? I think it starts from the beginning when you jump into the car. You jump into the car, the first thing, tell your kids, are you ready for today? No, and many parents say, we. No, it's not we, it's about the player. You could say, are you ready about your match today? Are you ready about your performance today? That's number one. Number two, before the match, a very good warm up again. What are we doing? Stretching, reacting, and be prepared mentally. And you guys can work with your own children, prepare before a match. Don't make the kid overwhelmed to feel, oh my God, I have to win. No, you don't have to win. Go for your match, go for your shots, and let's see what happens. And the kid will be more relaxed. Okay? Sebastian, what is next?
So you just mentioned a little bit on how there's the mental preparation and the physical preparation. About which parts do you think should the player focus on the most during their warm ups and getting ready before the match?
Okay. The player has to work in the physical preparation before a match. The mental preparation, you do it when you are in the match. You cannot prepare already in a match if you don't know what your opponent is going to do to you. You cannot prepare. I don't know if my opponent is going to hit moon balls or my opponent is going to attack me with a fast serve to my forehand. I have to figure out in the match how am I going to attack your tools, what kind of tools you're using. The physical preparation is before the match, be ready, have a very good warm up to be able to play into the match. That makes sense? Depending, if the match is getting closer, I have to make the decision when can I go for my shots. I can go for my shots if I'm 15-30 and you serving, I'm gonna attack you. I'm not gonna control it. I'm gonna attack you. I take 40-15, I'm gonna be more aggressive. It says 4-4, I need to make the decision. Can I lift the ball up and I attack you after three good shots? And the player has to figure out what is helping them. It's not coming anymore about the coaching. It's about the player. That's what the player is feeling. You have to feel your own game inside the court. The coach will give you the tools, what to play, what to train. But the player has to feel. For example, if you give me a second serve, very simple second serve, but I'm not able to attack it, I have to placement down the center. I cannot open the court. If I attack down the center, I'm already shorting the court, taking the angles away. And then the next shot, I'm able to open the court. That makes sense? Mr. Jones, where's next?
So I like how you said
Mr. Evans?
yes. Thank you, Coach. I like how you said your game, tennis, is the best game. So, what aspects of tennis do you find the most challenging and then the most rewarding? So, what, for your experience, and then what kids sort of gain out of it? I've seen a lot of development happening, and I'd like you to expand on that.
Well, the rewards about the game. I think the tennis game is like a real life. Why? It's the only game that's very lonely. You are in the court. No, in today's day, you can coach. In the old days, it was very difficult to coach. It was very difficult to have somebody from the sidelines say, hey, hit it to the forehand or hit it to the backhand or be more aggressive with your feet. Today, you can do that in the pro level players. In the junior players in Northern California, you're not allowed to do it. Some states like Texas, some tournaments that let you uh, have a little bit conversation with the player.
Oh,
In Spain, in Barcelona, you are allowed to talk to your player. You are allowed to tell them in the middle of the point, you are allowed to do this. The reward for this kind of sport is self-esteem. Tennis is a game that you have to believe in yourself. You have to lose, and the next day you have to stand up and you have to be willing to go train. This sport is giving you never give up, and is giving you something which I think, I go back again, real life. For example, your business is not doing good, you have to figure out what to do to get better. In your company, your boss is telling you your work is done the wrong way. You have to come back home or to do whatever is in the office, and you have to stand up and bring it back up. In the game, you're losing, and you have to find a way how to win it. You have to figure out how can you find a winning situation. Winning situation doesn't mean that you have to finish with a trophy. Winning situation means that you don't gonna give up. When you play in a team sport, you can have one player that could be is motivating the whole entire team, but the team goes together. And this sport is all about your self-esteem, about how great that you're willing to be. That's what the game is about. Okay,
excellent. Thank you.
Carolina.
Hey, we, well, I guess Evan and I, our daughters are very fortunate to have you as a coach. Unfortunately, there's only one of you, so a lot of people are not as fortunate or they live far away. So I'm sure the question is for a lot of parents is, what should they look for in a coach for junior players? And I guess for you, when you hire coaches to coach junior players, like what do you look for as well?
Parents, what they should look. Number one, a coach that really care about improving. And I'm gonna be mean, no about money. You know, even you have right now the best coach in Florida, he did it for free to some top players, to the Williams sisters. He said, I will coach the players for free. And I feel the same. I think like a coach, I know I need to have a living, but if I see the kid love the game and they are not able to afford the parents the money, I will help the kid. Why? This kid will have something of my passion, of my love to get better. And I love to have champions. I do want to have champions. So the parents have to look for a coach, they're willing to improve the player and make the kid be the best they could be. The best they could be. And that has been my philosophy with myself. I want to make sure I can help the kid in any situation. In any situation. Um, I help so many kids. I've been coaching 36 years. I had a kids low-income families, they come, and maybe many of them, they are part of my life because they knew what I'm willing to do for them. Next piece, an expertise coach. What is an expertise coach? It's not just one philosophy. It's variation of philosophy. Not every kid is able to have one swing. It should be different swings. If I see the kid is going to be tall, I'm going to make sure I work with more powerful serve and come into the net. If I see a player is going to be a good runner, I have to teach the player, like a coach, to keep the ball a little bit more over the net. Parents can see this. Parents has to be able to communicate to the coach. Coach is not perfect. It's not perfect, coach. I even myself, like a coach, with my staff, I run a videos and I say, what do you think about these players? I want to hear what is somebody else can see that I cannot see. I have my friends around the world that I send the videos of my players and I say, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? I want to listen. And a listener is better than just say, I have to do this. No, I have to listen to different people. I listen to the parents when the parents say, hey, my kid wasn't doing that well in the tournaments. I want to see the videos in the tournaments. So you already have what kind the coach you're looking for. I have coaches around this all over this valley. They have consultant. Oh, I'm consulting you. You send me the video. I'm sorry, that's part of our job. They're like a doctor. The doctor have a surgery and follow the surgery they have made. To me, I'm like a doctor for the kids. I want the kids to improve and I want to make sure the kids know I want them to get better. You like a parents, you have to see which coach is matching up good with your children. Not every coach is matched up very good with the children. I go back. I'm a like a coach. I'm a very tough coach. I'm very disciplined, and I make a rule: you're never gonna quit. Some kids don't want to feel this. Some kids they feel, oh, coach is giving me pressure. If you feel that your children is not engaging with the coach, I think it's time to communicate to the director of your club or the director of the academy and say, hey, I think another matchup for my children to be good. That's something you can look for it. And I go back again. Look for your kid is improving. If your kid is plateau, that's not good. Your kid always has to be improving. Okay? All right? Mr. Evans?
Excellent, Coach. Thank you. So I was sort of wondering with one of the things that comes up, but it comes up rarely, but sometimes when we go to tournaments, um, there is a little bit of, I don't want to say cheating, but it might be difficult ball calling or wrong ball calling that opponents might do. How should our players, while on the court and not being able to be coached, how should they address that and sort of mentally prepare for when it happens? Um, those sort of frustration things.
Wow, that has been many years in the lineup. It's not something today's day. Some
I have a
players,
signal for that. Move on. When your kid
you
feels,
do, you have to
because you
move
don't
on.
want them to focus. Oh, I thought the other person did a bad line call, and then they lose the next 3 points because they thought they got robbed from of 1 point. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes they obsess about it and they end up losing the next 3 points because they're not focused. I mean, so that's why you say
right.
move on, like forget about it, goldfish, whatever.
I
That's
agree. I
yeah.
agree in that one. But I think when the players feel that the opponent is making a lot of bad calls, It's
Yeah.
not just one. Some players maybe do it in the right time. And
Right.
the switch over, maybe the player could say, oh, can you make your calls a little bit better? You could say that. You're allowed to tell your opponent, hey, can you make sure you call a little bit better? And that's it. Why? They already make the bad call. When they switch over, just make a comment, hey, can you make the call a little bit better? Another way, you could go get a referee, and you can bring the referee, and you can say to the player and the referee, I see my balls a little bit long, and you call it out. Or I see my balls in, and you call it out. You can say both ways on purpose. Can you make sure when you leave like a referee, we be a little bit more fair calls? And the last piece, there's nothing you can do. You have to play the game. You have to play the game. Okay?
Right. So yeah.
So you player has to make sure they're able to communicate in the right time. And I go back again. For my experience, the best thing is in the switch over. And the time that you switch over, you could say, hey, can you make better calls? And let it
Right.
go. Keep going. Okay?
Right.
All right. Sebastian?
Just before that, you were kind of talking about how you expect the players to improve when they are under your coaching. And do you have a certain expectation for each player, or does that kind of vary for each individual? And how would you like to see them progress in terms of ratings on like the UTR scale and that type of stuff?
Okay. Not every player is going to be a champion. So in my case, I do select who am I going to coach. Why? The expectations of like a coach, I put 100% or 1000% in my coaching because I want to make the best of the best for the player. The kids. I don't care that much about the UTR situation if the kid today is 3.5 or 5.0 because they are younger kids. But if you are in the age of 15, 16, I do care a lot. I'm looking for the UTR 10, 11. When you are a younger kid, for my experience, many times when we put so much pressure, even the coach to the player, in the age of 15, the kids say, I don't want to play anymore. But if you make short-term goals to the player accomplish the goals. When you make short-term goals, today you have to do this better, the player will improve even more. Like a coach, I want to make sure I develop the player so the player is able to compete in a high school, but I look forward to play college tennis. And then if they want to go to the Pro Tour, they're welcome to go to the Pro Tour. In my case, I had offers in the past 10 years. People, they asked me to go back to the Pro Tour. Why I don't do it? It's very stressful to be there. And today's day, I'm happy to be with my family, making a short-term commitment first. And I want to make sure the players I coach, they understand I will give them 1000% of my coaching. I travel a lot. I have to go to New York. I have to go to Florida, and I go to Spain. And it's very difficult when I leave the players. Sometimes it bothers me because I leave lesson plan for these players. But when I have to be on the road for 8 weeks to 12 weeks in the pro level, I will destroy these players. So that's why, like a coach, I leave 4 days the most, and I come back to see them training again. And the expectations for the juniors, I want to make sure they understand. I give them 1,000%. My expectation is 1,000% to them. And the parents, I want them to understand when I give them 1,000%, I am expecting for them 1,000%. The same thing. It's a circle routine.
Oh,
Okay.
when you travel to these places like you just said, Florida, New York, Spain, so just recently you just went to Spain, and I'm sure you saw a different perspective from players training over there. What were some of the things that you looked to implement back into your academy here?
Okay. So let's go talk about Spain. I was looking into the players. I have the opportunity to get into the great training of the top players in the world. And I started observing the new training. The training was not like it's training today. Today's day, players moving better. So I come back, I have to make sure the players moving faster. Second, I observe many times how the players changing the pace. Today's day, you have a lot of spin and attacking more flat. So I implement for youth age already to implement the attacking and changing the pace. The drop shot. The drop shot become to be in a very crucial play game. I'm teaching the kids to drop shot from the very youth age. Feeling of the ball. Players have to feel more the ball. In Spain, because it's clay, you hit a lot of spin. It's a consistency and a lots of drop shots and players moving better. So I implement all this routine into the game. In Spain, players train 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning. Young kids, I'm talking kids of 10 years old, 6 to 8, go to the gym. After the gym, they go home, they eat, and they come back and they train again. And this is the expectations I have for the junior players. And this is what I develop in the academy now in Silicon Valley. A lots of drop shots and a lots of spin to the ball, making sure they recognize the short ball to attack with more aggressiveness. That's what I've been doing in Spain a lot, and I think it's working very well in our players. Okay, Carolina.
Yeah, so you're talking about a lot of hours of training. And I think one of the challenges in the Silicon Valley area is the availability of courts, especially in the winter time when the daylight is much shorter, when there's rain. So how can players mitigate that? Like, are there some, because I don't think they're given training program, and we're looking for some inspiration here. If they can't go on the court, what kind of training can they do at home? What kind of physical training and also tennis drills, whatever that they can do at home to kind of make up for the time that they don't have on the court?
Okay, what did we learn in the pandemic with so many tennis players? Many tennis players in the pandemic, they were swinging the racket inside the house. Many players, they were doing a lot of exercise inside of the house. Skylar, I have give her some tools of conditioning, and she go and she do it by herself, and she's training. Players need to be go back again self motivated. If they are in the house in their home, they have to be self motivated to look into the mirror like we do it ourselves. We look good, we brush our hair, we try to look good. The player, they have a mirror in their bathroom. I believe they have a mirror maybe in their bedroom. Oh, how am I looking my backhand? How my forehand is looking? How my serve is looking? So the kid has to look themselves how they're going to be looking in the time of raining, in the time of they be in the house. I will never forget. sometimes I'm in my house and I say, I need to teach the slice. And I'm in my table simulating my slice. And I try to say, okay, I need to see how this player I'm going to teach in the slice. Sometimes I watch tennis 24/7 and I take my notes. What am I going to teach the player? So before I go to the court, I'm already in my downstairs area, my house. I'm already teaching. Okay, I'm going to teach this today. I don't know if the young player has the same kind, the ideas. And I'm going to say something right now. My last two children, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Sebastian, they used to be downstairs on my house playing the game. We have a nice little room, play the game, and say, the player give me a foul, and they bring the red card. The simulating what they were going to be doing in the game. They were playing tennis, just simulating forehand, backhand, just simulating downstairs of our house. And they were playing the game. This is something you kids can do by themselves. I will never forget, we just have a chat with our family. We have one of our children used to fall down all the time. Yes! Like after finish the tournaments. I remember every time that player of my own children finished the game, he used to fall down on the ground and say, I won. Simulating. This is something you can do in your house. You can correct me, Sebastian. You were part of that family. You're still part of that family. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I remember I would play a lot with my younger brother Mateos. We would, cause I mean you can't play with a tennis ball, but we always liked playing with a balloon, and that was always really fun. So we'd actually hit with each other with the balloon. But um I mean we would do it on our own. It wasn't like anyone told us to go do it. So I think that makes a big difference as well. And I think kind of how you were talking about in Spain, um you mentioned that those players they go to train even at a young age, early in the morning. And I mean, you have more input on this, but it's probably important to mention that it's probably more of a lifestyle over there than something that is forced upon them. So like they're so ingrained into it that it's just something that's part of their life and that they love to do every day.
I'm going to say something, Mr. Evans. I work with Skylar sometimes when I have opportunity, and I teach her the serve. And I know she goes to her house and she practices the serve. That's something I think the kids have to have it. And I go back again. No, every kid have it. I'm going to say one more story about Sebastian. I will never forget this piece. Sebastian used to like Rafa Nadal. And he's in a tournament, playing, and he's serving or trying to imitate Rafa Nadal. Okay? I think he double fault the whole entire match. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. He
Yeah,
double
I mean,
fault the
I
whole
probably did. I probably did.
he double fault the whole entire set. Maybe I'm wrong, but he finished winning the match. And he said, "Oh, I know I will break the other guy's serve." His mind is already said, "I'm gonna continue practice one way, but I'm not gonna change it." And in the end, his serve became to be very decent serve. But his mindset, I'm gonna break you game no matter what it takes. That is part of mental toughness. So go back again into your question. I remember he was practicing the serve in the house like Rafa Nadal. How many times the kids have this opportunity to just be kids in their house? I don't know. I'm not in their home, but if there are kids, and they're willing to improve, I think they have to put their own work to make it better. Mr. Evans, what do you have?
Excellent. Thank you, Coach. Yeah. So I have seen Skylar come home and practice, and you've encouraged that the shadow drills inside the house and giving her very specific motions to repeat. And um, how can coaches or parents increase the players' tennis IQ and their ability to read the ball coming in and the opponent's ball? How can we help our young players sort of development that strategy, that longer term strategy, like you were saying, of maybe hit 3 balls and then go for a winner when you have a better opponent?
Okay. This is, I think, one of the problems I have in Silicon Valley. How many kids that really watch tennis? They really watch it. You know, I know one of our students, one of the best students that we have in the academy, the only thing they do, the TV is only tennis all day long. That's it. So some kids, they maybe doing computers, doing piano, doing violin, they doing thousand things. And if you ask him, who's Roger Federer, who's Rafa Nadal, they have no idea. So if they don't understand to watch the tennis match, it's very difficult. It's not just about hitting the ball. And I go back again. I'm like a coach. I watch tennis all the time. I'm listening coaches how they talk. I listen how the new techniques to train. I try to update myself like a coach, like a young player. They need to watch the game. For example, I'm not going to play a player that's a consistent player. I'm not going to attack the consistent player. Yeah, the coach can tell you. But if I observe Isner attacking the forehand and I observe Isner is coming to the net when the players go way back into the other side, it's so much easier. I will communicate to the player, hey, did you watch the tennis match? Or the player say, oh, I observed Coco Das coming in when the player run back. I think observing is very important. Last week I was watching a tennis match, and I was watching the German guy play Zverev, and in the crucial match, I was mentioning it to one of my children. Zverev need to attack. He's not able to have a defense anymore. And I said, the next shot, he has to attack. Of course, Zverev attack in that shot. But I see it like a coach. Kids need to see their professional level try to do this. They need to see why the drop shot. They need to see the loop. They need to observe this. It's not just about hitting the ball. It's more than that. And that mental toughness will become together in the long run. The mental toughness, the movement of the footwork, the running. Some kids in the academy, they don't know what they need to run. They have no idea. And I'm sorry, if you are not able to run, you are not able to play the game. That's why running is so important today's day in any sport. Running is the number one thing in tennis. And that's something in Spain, they do it a lot because the clay court. So the ball slow down, so you have to run for it. It's not, oh, I have to stop. You have to run. Okay?
I
Sebastian,
actually
you
have a
another
quick question. Yeah, adding on to what you just said with the running. Do you think that over the years, I mean, you've seen different generations of players now, and then you see it from the youth as well. Would you say that tennis, it has become more of a physical game? I mean, technique is obviously still so important, but over the years, do you think that tennis has become more physical, just like it has in other sports?
I think tennis today is a very physical game, very physical. And we see it right now in the younger players. They get injured every month because too much match play and not enough rest. So you need to have a little bit break. For example, December, 2 weeks of December, it's good for your body to relax. After some times, when the player trains so many hours, let 3 days or 4 days to your body relax. Don't overdo things because it become to be so powerful. Today's day game, the tennis game is a powerful game, and either man or woman is very powerful. I coach a player, 53 in the world, Alina Yudukova. With Alina, I used to work consistency, great movement, but a lot of consistency. Alina be the Williams sister. Today's days, girls tennis, they're attacking. They are not just moonballing anymore. They get the short ball and they're penetrating you. They're making you run left and right and forward. So for the parents that they have girls, they have to learn the girls run forward in and run back. And for the men's game, it has to be the serve, very powerful, and come to the net. That's how the game became. Again, powerful serves and great volleys. Okay? Mrs. Carolina, question?
Yeah, we were talking about training. So, what ratio do you think would be good for young juniors in terms of private lessons versus group lessons?
The private lesson, the coach should work in technique, and the coach should concentrate and develop how the game is going to be for that player. Not every player you can teach them the same strategy. Some players, like I say, they will be able to hit with more spin. Some players are going to be very tall. So if the player is going to be tall, I want to make sure I concentrate in the serve with a very good slide serve, with a great spin serve, making sure the player that's going to be tall is able to come to the net and have a very good volleys and great hands. When the player is a little bit shorter side, I have to teach them to be consistent from the baseline, making sure they destroy the mindset of the opponent. This is for a private lesson. For a group lesson, the way it's settled is every player participate the same. Every player should be able to do the same drills. And every player should have a good time training in the group environment. This is what the game is not that lonely. But when you take 3 private lessons a week, depending on the age, is very good for the player. 3 private with combined with 3 groups, 4 groups. This is a very good combination. The kid has to have friends in the court. If the kid doesn't have friends, it's very difficult. When the player is so much pressure one-on-one, they finish don't liking it. So 4 times a week group, or 3 times a week group with 2 or 3 private lessons is very helpful. And if you have 1 private lesson a week and the player is able to participate 3 times, 4 times a week in a group, in a tournament, is very good. It's very good participation for the player, and you will see improvement. Many times parents ask me, my kid been playing with the coach one-on-one. I'm sorry. If the kid never participate in a group lesson, the kid will never improve. If hitting one-on-one is always the same. It's very difficult. You have to participate playing with different children or different players. Mister,
A quick question I have is, so you just talked about playing in the group, and what I always found so interesting about tennis is when you're the best players in the world, they have to practice with each other. So those guys in the top 10, they are each other's hitting partners and they are who they get better off of. But what is kind of your philosophy when it comes to having younger players? Do you think it's more important for them to practice with players who are better than them, or even sometimes a lower level if they want to work on certain shots and types of technique?
okay. A, you're the number one player in the world. You want to practice with a player 800, 700, 300 in the world. You're not going to be practicing with Rafa Nadal on the left side, the number two. Why? You want to practice your shots that's going to help you game to improve. This is in the top level players. The top 10 players in the world, in the first few days in the tournament, they practice with lower level players. Why? They are develop their shots. We have players, even as now I think a video of Rafa Nadal with Roger Federer, they say they both got better because they look in each other how their game is going. For the younger players, sometimes they should be practicing with lower level players. For example, if I'm able to don't drive 10 balls over the net, I have to practice maybe with somebody better. But if I practice with somebody lower, I have to be able to don't miss my first serve. I have to be able to hit my forehand across, and I have to be able to hit my forehand down the line and never miss. But we're practicing with lower level player. But if I'm missing two, that means I'm not getting better and I'm no better than you. But if I'm able not to miss every shot, it's good. Long time ago, we had it, Mr. Evans, you know Eugene Moneshki, and Michelle Lamb. Number one in the 16. Eugene was number one 14, 16, 18. Michelle was number one in the 12, 14, 16, number three in the 18. Both of them, they went to college, came back to the academy, and they were practicing. They were, and they're going to sound like crazy, almost hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, rally one ball, just one ball. They didn't want to miss. I will never forget the coach on the side say, hey guys, it's time to leave. They say, no, I'm not going to lose the last point. I'm not going to lose the point. There were even players. One is a man, the other one was a woman. They're controlling the ball. And that was something, the reason they became to be so good. They never want to miss the shot. And they used to practice with middle level players. They never practiced with the top national ranking kids. And both of them, they were very tough national ranking players. We have right now in the academy, we have Bella. Bella is one of our top players in the nation. 41 in the nation, in the age of 18. Very good ranking. She has 2 more years to be in the top 10 in the nation. She comes to practice with the low-level players. Like yesterday, we were talking about how to attack more down the center for the next tournaments in the summer. And we were working with the simple serve the players can make. And we finished the practice, and the first thing she said, makes sense. It makes sense. I'm able to return this ball down the center more aggressive. I'm able to move my footwork better and attack. So that was very good. That makes sense? Okay. Mr. Evans, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Coach. So, as you mentioned, some of these points can go on for a long time when the players are skilled. what are possibly some of the quick nutrition tips during match day and advice that you'd have about diet and the correlation between eating and exercise?
I will answer one more question, or maybe two, because the time we have to finish. Bananas, very important. Granola bars, very important. Gatorades, very important to take into the match. And make sure your kid always eating something in the second set, in between the first and second set. It's very important you be able to always have food in your stomach. The day before, a lots of water, okay? Have a very good breakfast the day before, great lunch and great dinner, making sure your player is always feel like you have a good gasoline for the long run. So you prepare no one day in advance, you prepare 3 days in advance with great meals. And always drinking water all day long. Drinking water, 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 water. Okay? Carolina, thank you so much to join me today, Mr. Evans, Sebastian. If you guys have any more questions, I will be very glad in the future to answer. To all the parents in Silicon Valley Tennis, in Silicon Valley Bay Area, please join us to this summer camp. It will be amazing, and we're looking forward to see everybody. And thank you to all three great people in my life to be in this show, and I hope so. Anything I can do for your children, I will be there.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. Thank
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a great
You too.
Did you dream of hitting aces and dominating the court? Silicon Valley Tennis Academy is your one-stop shop for becoming a tennis champion. We offer expert coaching, world-class facilities, and a supportive community to help you reach your full potential. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned player, we have programs designed to fit your skill level and goals. Learn from experienced coaches who are passionate about the game and dedicated to your success. Join our growing team of talented players and see how Silicon Valley Tennis Academy can take your game to the next level. Visit our website at www.siliconvalleytennis.com to learn more and enroll today. Don't miss your chance to be a part of something special.
From youth age, it's my passion of the game, and I want to play in that time when I was a kid and I grew up. I do love to coach, and I think I like to promote the sport, and I always have a good vision to see how can we grow better players, how can we have top level players,